When Kent shooter Chris Sharp got beaten up, the police removed his certificate. It's been a 15-month fight to get it back.
I didn't engage. There was a point where I felt like, should I? And genuinely, I felt, no, don't engage, you'll lose your guns.
It's a corvid epidemic. Helen Tinner has fun crow shooting on the farm.
Now you see me, now you don't.
Dan Thor gets the skinny on-site picture from our own Doctor of Airology, Terry Doe. Ryan Charlton looks at a super lightweight rifle. David is on the Fieldsports news stump, and James has the latest YouTube hunting films in this week's Hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain.
You're seeing 20-25 years worth of adventures.
What's your favourite?
It's pretty obvious that Chris Sharp loves his shooting. He describes it as his lifelong passion. The annual pilgrimage to the Highlands, a couple of trips to the Eastern Cape, local deer management, clays, pheasants, you name it, he does it. 15 months ago, everything changed. Everything stopped. He lost his guns after he was assaulted. Yes, you heard that right. He was assaulted.
I had some trees on my property. It needed to come down. We thought we did everything we could to make sure that everyone was aware of what was going on, but it wasn't quite as clear-cut as that, and people got upset. And as a result, I was attacked. I was pushed against the back of my pickup truck, cracked my head open quite badly. A lot of blood, more blood than the cut demanded, but it was still enough for me to feel like I needed to call the police, which was the ultimate decision I made. I didn't engage. There was a point where I felt like, should I? And genuinely, I felt, no, don't engage, you'll lose your guns. And that thought went through my head. It was quite ironic, really. So yeah, I backed away, tried to get back to my house, and the attack took place on the end of my drive. So, and then I called the police to hopefully to defuse the situation, but certainly because I felt that I'd been quite badly assaulted, and certainly an unprovoked attack as well,
Okay. Attitude of the police?
They were, the two guys that turned up, traffic cops, they were really nice, if I'm brutally honest. They checked and said, look, do you need to go to the hospital? I said, look, I don't. I took them through what had happened. They were aware of guns, and I think pretty much if you've got guns, you hit the radar straight away. And straight away they let me know that they were going to remove the guns that night. And I kind of understood that. At the time, I was in shock, a bit unbalanced, but I thought, fine. The guy that attacked me had guns also, and I've later found out that when they went round to interview him, that he had said that I'd threatened to shoot him.
Chris doesn't blame the police. He's complimentary about how the officers treated him. What he didn't expect was to end up being told he'd lose his guns.
You get 21 days to appeal, and they said your guns are going to be destroyed, everything's going to be destroyed. So it was a mad panic, and I'd also, because the letter landed when I was on holiday, I kind of used a few of those days up. So I have a really good friend of mine who's been by my side all the way through, this guy called Rob Pitcher from Yorkshire, and he said, I know some people, and it turned out he did.
First time he's ever told the truth.
He's first time. He's been useless up until that point. And get out of jail card, and he put me onto a great guy called Tim Ryan, who's a solicitor, very connected to BASC already, and a barrister called Peter Glenser.
Chris appealed against the decision by Kent Police, which meant preparing for a court hearing and preparing his family for an expensive ordeal.
Yeah, eye-watering amount of money. So I sat down with my wife and my family, actually, and said, look, this is going to cost money. Might have to sell my motorbike, which my wife was very happy about. She saw a lot of benefits in me not getting my guns back.
Okay.
But no, and they stuck by me, and I genuinely, it was, I felt quite proud. They said, no, you love this, Dad. So yeah, it was good.
He didn't have legal expenses insurance, and the expectation at the time was that it would cost around £15,000 to instruct a solicitor.
And at the beginning, my solicitor definitely said, you could be in it for this. And then we still went for it. we felt that I hadn't done anything wrong. It was wrong, probably a wrong approach, but I felt like I needed to clear my name as well as much about getting my guns back.
Chris's solicitor felt they had a strong case and spoke to Basque to see if they'd be interested in helping. Seeing the strength of Chris's case, Basque's fighting fund paid for barrister Peter Glenser to present the case.
It was like a rabbit in the headlights. Police were wearing their uniform. I got barristers, 3 judges, and yeah, man, it was terrifying. I definitely was, what have I done?
It's serious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
And suddenly
You're a barrister, 3 judges, and you have to stand up, you know, and come and put your hand on the book and swear. But all the way through it, I just told what happened. And my story, firearms, police, court, I never needed notes, just told exactly what happened, and it was consistent because that's what happened. Chief Constable Kent was questioned, given his due, came up afterwards and shook my hand, and I said to him, neither of us should take any pleasure from today. I didn't gloat that I'd won, I just felt we shouldn't have been here. The process had let me down, and ultimately let him down, you know, because he's there, he's trying to do a good job, but the process that had gone through, it failed him as much as it failed me.
Not only did Chris win the case, he was awarded costs, which is almost unheard of.
I've got all the reasons why I won the appeal, but why he gave costs, I can only assume that he just felt that they'd failed me. Yeah, and I've got some costs back. Not all of it, but most of it. And Bass will get their fighting fund back as well. So the bit that they lent me, they get that back as well.
Oh, right, okay. So
we'll work it out. I won't get all my costs back, but the majority. And we weren't expecting to get any costs back. So this is an amazing, amazing day, really, because it's going to stop them just pushing the problem down to the courts. There now could be a cost back to them now.
So what advice does he have for others?
If you genuinely are innocent, or you feel that you're innocent, then appeal. Try and get some insurance, because it is expensive, and certainly I've been lucky that I've got mine back, but that's not guaranteed. The second thing is, if you've done something wrong, then don't appeal, because it just waters down every attempt that we make, and you know, and if you feel, just go back and say, well, when can I reapply again? Yeah, don't appeal, because that really waters down the effect of an appeal. The police, they didn't handle it well. I don't hold any grudge towards them. I hope they learn from it, but let's not use this as a police battering tool, because I feel that they could, if they use it to learn and see how we've gone wrong, what we went wrong on the night, and we can improve it for other people, brilliant, spot on. If they just ignore it and move on, then that's a mistake on their part, and there'll just be another me further down the road.
Chris has his guns back, the next trip to the Highlands books, and an opportunity to put the last 15 months behind him. Thanks, Chris, and well done for getting through it. As he suggested, get insurance. We've watched this particular train coming down the track, which is why we were determined to add legal expenses to our membership offer. More from Chris in a second. Now, in this week's Fieldsports Extra, we have a boot seller, a talented elephant, and a man with a story about me.
Only Charlie knows that.
We are giving away a superb pair of wellies priced at £124 this week. Here's Bob McConnell from Gateway 1 Footgear to say why his Fieldmaster boots are worth the money.
We're asked to do a lighter weight boot, which is a 3mm neoprene. It has got the normal Gateway 1 technical insole. So I think our features are the comfort, stability and grip. So the rubber on the sole is very sticky. It sticks to slippy surfaces, it sticks to ice. And the coil lining inside wicks moisture away from your foot. It's available in men's and ladies, and as the logo suggests, it's a bison, so our boot's as tough as a bison.
There's a link to it below. Easiest way to win it is to watch Fieldsports Extra, which goes out the night before this show, only to Fieldsports members, now with insurance. Easiest way to watch Fieldsports Extra is to join those members, which, may I suggest, might make a nice present. Here's Chris again on that.
We got Father's Day coming up very soon, and based on my experiences just recently, I'm not quite sure you get a better present than getting a Fieldsports membership and maybe a little bit of insurance.
Thanks again, Chris. Next up, another ghastly experience. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The value of shooting to the UK economy is £3.3 billion. That's the figure released by market researchers Cognisance in a new report from 24 organisations linked to field sports in the UK. 10 years ago, a similar survey said the value was £2 billion. The value of shooting document explores growth in some areas and decline in others. Habitat managed for shooting has increased from 2 million hectares in 2014 to 7.6 million now. There were 74,000 full-time jobs in shooting and conservation 10 years ago, compared with 67,000 in 2024, a drop of 7,000. Trade, conservation groups, organising bodies and land management representatives contributed to the survey. Here's Basque's Head of Biodiversity, Ian Danby, to explain the importance of the figures in the new report.
These are numbers people, it stops them and it gets them to listen to whatever you want to say next. So that's the reason why it's good to have these headline figures, gets the attention, gets people to understand the scale of shooting and take it seriously.
The value of shooting is just one of the issues Basque believes is high on the agenda when it comes to choosing who to vote for in the general election on July the 4th. It's launched its own web portal to help members and non-members alike to contact candidates. The link is below. Christopher Graffius explains what it's about.
So we will be publishing an interactive web page that sends a email to your political candidates and asks them to sign a statement in support of shooting and conservation. And we then record whether or not they have signed the statement against their name on the website, so that voters can see which of their candidates are supported and therefore cast an informed vote.
In Wales, rugby legend Gareth Edwards spoke to members of the National Gamekeepers Organisation and urged them to contact prospective MPs to ask them about their views on game shooting, deer stalking and fishing. The NGO is launching its own group to advise members how to approach candidates.
We can all complain as much as we want about the Welsh Rugby Union, but you know, until you start putting it all together, pulling together and start working together, you won't get very far, because there'll be always somebody with a different viewpoint to you. So I think the fact that this is happening, that we're here in a small pub in Bridgend, it's the first step forward.
Conservation industry bodies say they are thrilled to be awarded £1.2 million to reintroduce pine martens to areas of the southwest of England. The National Lottery Heritage Fund paid the cash to organisations involved in the Two Moors Pine Marten project. Around 40 of the animals will be released over the next 2 years at selected locations on Exmoor and Dartmoor, priced at £30,000 each. Thought to be common across the UK at one time, pest control and habitat loss drove them to the brink of extinction in England and Wales. Thanks to Richard Walton for the story. Fieldsports members with certificate problems are getting their guns back. In the latest episode of our Fieldsports Advice Bureau show, the link is below, Layla the lawyer explains how she has been helping one member with an appeal against police revoking his certificate.
It got to less than 24 hours before the appeal hearing and it was taken out of the court listing, I know, and put back for several months. Not an ideal situation. He subsequently, following a conversation with myself, contacted the firearms licensing unit, and they are now in discussions of how he is going to get his certificates back.
FAB is a Fieldsports membership benefit. Layla can't represent you in court, that's what our legal insurance cover is for, but she can point you in the right direction. For the long version of her chat, click the link below.
There is hope for people. People have things in their past, in their history, that police authorities will look at and give a balanced view.
While Britain's sheep farmers worry about foxes and even sea eagles taking their lambs, in Norway, it's all about the wolves. The Norwegian newspaper NRK reports at least 20 animals have been found dead in a region between Gåsdal and Øya, with many others seriously injured. The Norwegian Nature Inspectorate examined bite patterns on the dead lambs and has issued hunting permits to allow the wolves to be shot. So far, none of the animals have been found. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. Hunters in New Zealand can now use thermal spotters. The Department of Conservation banned thermal technology on any public land in 2010. New Zealand's Minister for Hunting and Fishing, Todd McClay, has now announced handheld spotters are acceptable. Thermal scopes attached to a rifle are still banned, as is discharging a firearm at night. America's Supreme Court has ruled in favour of the National Rifle Association in a legal battle. State officials from New York had blacklisted the organisation. The court delivered a unanimous verdict that New York's governor and financial regulator acted unconstitutionally. They blocked the NRA from using banking and insurance services. The court said the NRA had been blacklisted because of political views, which is against America's First Amendment. It's the same law used to protect the rights of minority groups experiencing racism and sex discrimination. A new report from the United Nations has outlined the threat to wildlife from alien species. The report comes from the UN's ecology body and says there are 3,500 invasive aliens globally, causing billions of pounds worth of damage. On the UK list is the grey squirrel and the Asian hornet, a species which has just survived hibernating through a winter in Britain for the first time, after being accidentally transported from Asia on cargo vessels. They're a significant predator for bees. Grey squirrels arrived in the UK from America in the 1870s and have wiped out much of the population of native red squirrels. And finally, a new art exhibition in South Africa uses bad taxidermy to explore the culture of trophy hunting. Artist Roger Ballen's installation, called The End of the Game, switches the roles between hunter and the hunted. It shows a lion carrying 2 human heads in bags, plus other sculptures depicting animals in conflict with people. Judging by the facial expression on this stuffed lioness, she'll be as surprised as anyone if the Johannesburg art show is a roaring success. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. And David has made it a contractual requirement that you like and subscribe under our films. Thank you. Now, you may think of crow shooters on farms as hard men with unlimited cartridges. Not true. Helen Tinner is here to show that pest control is a sport for all. This pig farm in East Suffolk has a huge problem with crows, rooks and jackdaws, and they're costing the farmer a fortune. Nick Elsdon from Anglia Sporting does his best to control the birds with the help of paying shooters.
One of the boys shot a rook early this morning that was absolutely stuffed with pig food, and that's costing thousands of pounds for the pig farmers. They're also contaminating a lot of the water and a lot of the feed with their droppings. It's not good having that number of corvids around because of the nesting birds we have in this area. We've got all sorts of rare birds, curlews, lapwings, stone curlews, all of which end up as prey for these corvids. So that's another reason why we try and take them out. And May and June are our main times for doing so.
If there's one thing that's guaranteed about shooting corvids, it's that nothing is guaranteed.
It's very much like fishing and pigeon shooting. And if you know what that's all about, you'll get a good idea of what this corvid shooting's like.
One of Nick's guns today is Helen Tinner. She has done plenty of stalking and even shot a few pigeons. Crow shooting is new to her, and she has a lot to learn.
So this is really interesting for me, the whole fieldcraft side of it, watching it all being set up, really good. We are well hidden, we're camouflaged up, thus the rather attractive "you can't see me now" effect. The hardest thing for me now is to not talk.
Helen is shooting her Maruku MK38 in 20 bore, and she's trying new cartridges loaded with 28 grams of number 5 shot. We wait and wait. There are plenty of crows around, but they're not coming within range.
Talking to each other, James. I think you're right. I think they did see us.
Suddenly, one appears directly overhead. Off camera, Helen's second shot kills it cleanly. It's a start.
I can hear it thud.
Nick is watching from a distance and decides to move Helen to another spot where he has seen plenty of birds.
Got one.
Okay, you get it on film?
I think so.
Oh, okay, good.
The new hide looks a lot like the first one, but with a slightly different view and perhaps a few more birds moving around. They still aren't showing much interest in our decoys. Helen tries a couple of long shots at crows flighting past. Helen is learning the hard way that the birds can spot movement in the hide from a long way off.
I think he saw my barrel then.
He saw you move, yeah.
He did do a little sharp move, didn't he? Now you see me, now you don't. I'm hiding.
They're the canniest birds of the avian world, and you know, you really do need to keep yourself hidden, well hidden. Movement, they'll spot all the time. You've got to really be very, you know, as much on the ball as they are. The human element, where you're moving, you're showing your face, all of that is, you know, the birds are going to spot it and make life very difficult. And some days, especially when the youngsters come off the nest, things are a lot easier. But most of the time, they are very, very difficult birds to get on top of.
Or what I've learned is I mustn't even slightly put my head above there. I am going to stay right down here and view everything underneath here until the last moment, and then I'll go up top. Because maybe part of the reason they haven't been coming over is because they've seen too much of me. Even though I was peeking my head just a wee bit above.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh. Here we go. Oh, come on. I got it. Yes. Oh, that's good. I'm pleased about that. But it's a nice one because it was coming across. Got it, James. That was a good shot. Oh, how did I miss that, James?
Sure. I'm afraid I've done evidence of that.
Nick moves us to yet another hide, but even with Helen's new improved fieldcraft, the birds just aren't coming close.
Kept moving you around where there were lots of birds, but they didn't stay around. You know, just impossible situation today,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell you why. It's just the way it is sometimes.
I can still say that I'm enjoying myself. In the countryside, bit of fieldcraft,
Yeah.
bit of all that.
Nice to be out.
Nice to be out, very grateful. And it stopped raining.
I think she's got the bug. I think we'll see her again.
Yeah, I think so.
You're going to have a lot of footage of me looking up, aren't you?
If you would like to shoot crows with Nick, go to his website, Anglia Sporting, link below. And for more about Browning and Maruku guns, go to browning.eu. Thanks, Helen. Next, more from the Airgun Sage of Surrey, Terry Doe, as he guides and advises Dan Thor.
What you want to do now is to start relaxing. Okay, so look down the scope. Both eyes open if you can. I'll tell you why in a minute. Both eyes open if you can.
That's so different to shotgun shit, though.
Totally. That's one of the good things, though.
Because obviously with an
You're in
air
a different
rifle,
mode.
Air rifle like that, I'll be one eye shut, shotgun both open. So now I'm trying to shoot a rifle with both eyes open.
Ask yourself this. Why are you getting rid of 50% of your vision? You're going to shoot.
Yeah.
You want to see, there might be an easier target, there might be a safety problem, but you don't want to get rid of 50% of your vision. Okay. There is another reason though, with an air rifle, and it's particular to an air rifle. The finest wind detector in the world is your eyeball. Yeah. That, you can feel that draft on your eye. Well, a tiny little draft will kick that pellet over, so you're better off being aware of it.
Both eyes open also.
And it relaxes.
Right.
Work out your ideal technique, work out your ideal stance, and adapt everything to that. Because if you're not in your ideal stance, you're compromising. You're taking second best. And we don't take second best in this if we want to be really good. Yeah. So you get the equipment, don't make do. Making do is
get what suits you.
When you've got the ability at the touch of a button to make things better, you're obliged to do it. You know, just make it a lot better. Same with the gun fit and scope position and all that. I mean, this is my setup, but for yours wouldn't be that much different. No. I can guarantee.
I'll tell you what is different. When I've put mounting my scope, obviously, is what a nightmare they are to mount. It just, if you get it to where it is, and so as you tighten it up, it turns. You think, oh my God. So now mine's actually shut where it's actually turned a little bit.
Oh no.
Which is, it's dead accurate now, perfect. But I've got to take it to the gun shop and ask them to try and get it perfectly straight. Because I've tried it, and I can never get that perfectly straight.
Your test is so simple. When we finish today, go home and do it. Unloaded, no mag. Right. Stand nice and steady. Close your eyes, pick your rifle up, get it into your ideal position, and then open your eyes. If you're not addressing that scope perfectly, if you go, or you've got to change something. So your ideal position, with your eyes closed, is your ideal position. That's when you're most relaxed, it's most supported, it's better. And then you open your eyes, and you might have to lift this, pad this, move that back and forward, but that's your ideal position. So much of shooting one of these properly is about mindset. And what we're going to get into now is no second best. That applies to everything. Don't compromise. Don't say, that'll do. And one of the greatest ways to demonstrate that is through the magnification of the scope. I like to shoot on the highest practical mag I can because it actually accentuates any wobbles you might have, which once you've seen them, you can then fix them. So many people will just dial them away. They'll go from, say, 16 mag down to 6, and say, oh, I'm not wobbling now, that's great. Well, you are. You've done nothing but fool yourself. So instead of dialing your scope down, dial it up to the highest mag you can shoot on, and if it's showing you that you're wobbling, fix the wobble. Don't con yourself into believing you have by dialing the scope down. Fix the problem and you'll be a miles better shooter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Is that because when you put it obviously on a lower mag, it's a further away, and as you've got it close on a 16, you actually see it.
You can see the crosshair going across the target. But it doesn't matter what mag it's on, you're still doing the same thing. The rifle doesn't know you've adjusted the scope.
Closer, you can see the wobble.
You can see it's accentuated by the magnification. So attack it. Don't run away from it. Attack it, fix it, move on. All right?
Right, let's give that a go then.
Okay, so get relaxed. Put your finger on that trigger. Lovely two-stage trigger on these. Crosshairs in the center. And squeeze that off. Now that was as firm a hit as you could have.
Thanks, Terry and Dan. Now from airguns to full-bore rifles, and Ryan Charlton explains why he is proud to sell Hauer's super light rifle.
Okay, so this is Hauer's super light rifle, and it lives up to its name. Weighs in as a bare rifle, just 4.7 pounds. Available in 2 calibers, either 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor. We've got a 20-inch lightweight profile barrel, which is threaded at the muzzle, and on both calibers it features a flush fitting detachable 3-round magazine, which is a lovely feature. Now the stock is carbon fibre. As you can see, we've got the lovely attractive grey webbing finish on it as well, which adds a bit of texture, so when things start to get wet and muddy, you've still got a nice reference point as to where to place your hands. It's Hauer's tried and true push feed mechanism, 2 lug making it incredibly fast, and as usual with a Hauer rifle, we've got mini M16 style extractor and a plunger ejector. There's no point changing it, it works really, really well. The bolt release is on the left hand side of the action, and it features Hauer's standard 3-position safety, so Even if you don't want to operate the trigger, you can still open the bolt to empty the chamber. The trigger is Hauer's hacked HACT, which is an actuator controlled trigger, which gives a lovely break at around 2.5 pounds. Available in all good gun shops.
Thank you, Ryan. Next up, from rifles to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, brought to you by James Marchington, it's Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the latest and best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Here's what I've picked for you this week. First up, Max McNeely from The Outdoorsman is on a spectacular dove shoot in Nicaragua. He's joined by Phil Anderson, who shoots extremely well with his semi-auto despite having only one arm. Next to South Africa, where the warthog problem is so severe they're describing it as a war. There's some impressive shooting, knocking them down at full run. Over to the States, where these hunters are using a decoy dog to help them draw in coyotes. The idea is the dog runs out barking at the coyote, which then follows it in, although it doesn't always go to plan. More dog work. This is a training session with a champion duck hunting dog, doing long-range, scene and blind retrieves and filmed from an unusual angle with a drone. Back to the UK, and here's our old friend Andy Crow, pigeon shooting with the chaps from Jack Pike. Even the crowman struggles to get the birds to decoy at this time of year, but they finish off with a roost shoot and end up with a decent bag. Boxer One and his wife have been busy putting up a high seat in the chicken run, and before it's even finished, he christens it by taking 2 dog foxes on the first night. More foxing with David from Predator Protection UK, who's out with his friend Mark. There's a useful lesson when they're so busy watching a fox approaching in front that they almost miss one much closer sneaking in behind. And finally, James Crowther, the cigar-smoking hunter, is boiling, bleaching and mounting a brace of roebuck skulls. Last time he tried this job, he cut himself and ended up in A&E, so you'll be on the edge of your seat as you watch this one. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, jamesm@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website where you can click to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, or pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show, Fieldsports Britain. It's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.